Hey, what's up, guys? It's AJ from the Comeback Sports Podcast, and this is Season 4, Episode 7. I hope everyone having a good weekend. Right now it is Tuesday, December 6th, so Christmas is coming up, so exciting things are happening, and what's on the agenda is a whole lot. I mean, we're talking about some conference championship football games that we watched, some Heisman favorites, some hiring moves that have been made, and a little bit of some NFL football and a little bit of track. So we got a lot to talk about. To kind of start things off, we can talk about the Pac-12 championship game that occurred last weekend. Utah beat USC 47-24, and this was a big thing because USC was in contention to make the college football playoffs, but after that loss, not so much. And this game was kind of hard to watch on the defensive side of things. USC couldn't tackle to save their life. Lincoln Riley, who's the head coach for USC, he used to be the Oklahoma head coach. And this is something that I've always noticed with Lincoln Riley when he coaches his teams is he's an offensive-minded genius. He has produced 2 Heismans back-to-back at the quarterback position, and he's had lots of great wide receiver talent as well. One person I can recall is CeeDee Lamb. But defensively, that's just not his style. Like, he's just an offensive-minded coach, and so he believes, at least to me, that twice the offense and half the defense. And unfortunately, that is what kind of led to their demise, and they lost to Utah. So as a result, Ohio State actually made it in for the 4th spot of the college football playoffs. Another championship game was the Big 12 championship. K-State beat TCU. TCU was also in the college football playoffs within the top 4. They lost in an overtime game, 31-28. This was kind of expected. Me and Ethan talked about this game, and we believed that TCU was going to lose eventually, just because there were so many close games. And the big difference maker when watching this game is, like, sure, there'll be a turnover. I can recall one in this game where TCU's wide receiver fumbled the ball, but they didn't allow any points after that turnover. And that really makes or breaks of how your outcome is going to be on both sides of the ball. And I want to give a shout out to Max Duggan. That dude's a bad dude. Like, I've seen him make plenty of game-winning drives throughout the season, and he just doesn't fall under pressure. Sure, he doesn't have the best overall statistics, but he drives the ball down the field to make something happen. And that's a very important skill to have at the quarterback level. And good news for him and TCU is even though they lost, they still retained their top 4 position. And within the final CFP rankings, they had the 3rd spot. And because there were people who believe, like me, that they were going to be kicked out of the rankings. So I'm happy for them. I think they're going to make another exciting game when the playoffs happen, and we'll see if Max is still that dude. In the ACC championship, I didn't get to watch too much of this one because I knew what was going to happen. Clemson won. They beat UNC 39-10, and Clemson has secured a spot in the Peach Bowl. So Drake May was somebody on the Heisman watch list for UNC. The dude's a very good quarterback and has thrown for over 30 touchdowns. But to me, he kind of reminds me of like a Mitch Trubisky 2.0. Very polished, well-structured or stature, and very similar numbers too in terms of the touchdowns. So I got a feeling he's probably going to be a first-round pick when his time comes in the draft, but it could be another Mitch Trubisky, though. I just don't know yet. Maybe it will look different next year when he plays. And DJ Uiagalelei actually announced that he's entering the transfer portal. Earlier in the game, he was struggling, and he was replaced by freshman Cam Cade Klubnik. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Klubnik guided the Tigers to score on 4 straight possessions, and DJ pretty much thought, man, like, I don't know if I'm a good fit here anymore. I feel like I'm maybe replaced now. So we'll see where he ends up transferring to. Within the Big Ten championship game, Michigan beat Purdue in dominant fashion, 22-43. They scored 29 points in the second half alone. Michigan's quarterback J.J. McCarthy scored 3 TDs. Purdue's quarterback Aiden O'Connell threw 2 interceptions. I think this might be O'Connell's last season too at Purdue. He's been there for 5+ years, I believe. Within the SEC championship game, Georgia's still the best school, and they won their first SEC championship since 2017. They beat LSU 30-50. Stetson Bennett, the quarterback, has he proved that he is one of the top quarterbacks in the country? I mean, it sounds like it since he's in the finalists for the Heisman right now. Within the 2022 season, he's thrown 20 TDs, 6 interceptions, and 3,400 yards. He threw 4 TDs on Saturday night's game, so he put a good case for himself to be in the conversation. I kind of want to talk about the Pac-12 and the Big 12 championship games because the quarterbacks, Max Duggan and Caleb Williams, they were kind of under the spotlight a little bit, at least from social media, about them being emotional after their losses. And do I think they're overreacting or do I think it's just part of the game? I really think it is just part of the game. Because to me, these are 2 guys that really care about the game of football so much that they're not afraid to express how they're feeling when things don't go well or when things do go well. Max Duggan was under the mic for a press conference, and he really showed how upset he was after that loss. And it just showed he really cared about the team too. He felt like there was just so much disappointment in the locker room, and they worked really hard, and they probably didn't think they were going to get this far to begin with. And with Caleb Williams, he's been caught crying on camera a few times, and I just think it just shows authenticity of what these guys are really about when it comes to the game. They really want to win, and when they lose, it hits them hard. But I believe these losses are what motivate them to perform even better. And yeah, I'm definitely all about it because guys or young men like these guys, they shouldn't have to suppress how they're feeling because it's okay to express those things. So we can talk about the Heisman odds right now because the finalists have been announced. The first one on the list is Stetson Bennett. His case is he has the best record of all the finalists, being that they haven't lost a single game yet, the University of Georgia, that is, followed by C.J. Stroud, the quarterback from Ohio State. He has 37 TDs, 6 interceptions, 3,300 yards, and a passer rating of 176. He has the best passer rating of the 4, but he doesn't do that great under pressure. When the first read is not available to him, he kind of panics a little bit and the play collapses. So those are concerns I have because I think it's just I need to see a little bit more. Unfortunately, I'm not going to see more because by the time the winner is announced, the playoffs haven't started. I just don't know. I don't think he's going to win it just because the schedule that he played wasn't the greatest, and when there were hard games like the Michigan game, he didn't perform that well. And second on the list, or third on the list, is Max Duggan, who we mentioned earlier. He has 30 TDs, 4 interceptions, 165 passer rating, and 3,300 passing yards. I was saying this earlier, man, he's helped drive his team down the field multiple times, and he has produced lots of second-half comebacks. So in terms of like what differentiates him from the rest of the group is he has that clutch factor that really solidifies his case. And I believe the best one of the list who's most likely going to win the Heisman is actually Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams came from Oklahoma. He followed Lincoln Riley to USC. And then within his first season, he's at USC. He drove 37 TDs, only 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards, and a huge passer rating of 168. And on top of that, he has 10 rushing TDs. And him and Lincoln Riley helped put USC back on the map. They were 4-8 the previous year. They only had 2 losses this season. So that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, my pick is going to be Caleb Williams. He has produced a substantial amount of TDs when it comes to running or passing it, and he has helped put a huge milestone for USC. Even though they didn't make the playoffs, they were still in contention. I mean, compared to last year, that's a huge milestone. So Caleb Williams is my pick for the Heisman. Excuse me. I want to jump into one of my teams, which is Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. They hired Luke Fickle out of Cincinnati, and one of my favorite things is they kept Jen Leonard. I think this is a huge thing because Luke has left Cincinnati with a winning record and even took that team to the college football playoffs the previous year. He has made something out of nothing, and he probably will attract a new type of talent since the Wisconsin coaching tree is not going to be what it usually is. Because Jim and Paul Chris, they both work together, and they also worked with Barry Alvarez. So this is a new outsider who may attract different types of players into the program. And on top of that, Luke Fickle does have Big Ten experience as a coach and a player. He used to play for Ohio State, and he has been an assistant coach or a positions coach at Ohio State as well. So he's familiar with kind of the style of Big Ten in general. He's defensive-minded, which Wisconsin football likes, and he produces better offensive numbers too. So we can still keep that defensive culture and on top of that, improve the offensive side of things. And keeping Jim is really going to keep the morale high within the locker room because those players really like him and they are willing to fight for him. So I think that leaves a good impression from Luke to keep him in the coaching staff. Do I like the hire? Yeah, I do. It's refreshing and it still fits the culture of Wisconsin. And on top of that, Graham Mertz, who is the quarterback for Wisconsin, he has been the starting quarterback for 3 years. He actually announced he's entering the transfer portal. I'm not sure why. Maybe he's just looking for a new start because, quite honestly, me personally, I'm very critical of Graham Mertz. He has frustrated me lots of times, and he has brought lots of great joy to watching Wisconsin football as well. And maybe that's the same with other fans, and maybe he just doesn't feel like he belongs. And I do feel like I'm hard on him, but that's because I really like this team and I want them to win. And there's a standard because actually there isn't really a standard because Wisconsin quarterbacks aren't very good. And he was a refreshing face because he was a high recruit and he had a very good start to the season. So the bar was very high at the beginning of his career, and he just hasn't met that expectation consistently throughout his career at Wisconsin. I wish him the best of luck. I'm appreciative to what he has brought because he has came in and had some good games, but I think maybe this is a good start. This will be a good refresh for him, and I hope he finds some success otherwise. Example, like Jack Conan. I wish Jack the best, and when he went to Notre Dame, he had a very great season, and I wish the same kind of outcome for Graham Mertz as well. Another top story in terms of coaching hires is Deion Sanders accepted a $25 million deal to coach at the University of Colorado. But here's the funny thing. The athletic director admits they don't have the money yet. So we'll see how that turns out. He left Jackson State with an undefeated season and a 19-2 conference record. He has attracted 5-star talent, and he's taken his talent with him to Colorado, which is including his son, who's the quarterback at Jackson State. And this also goes the same for his coaching staff. Some of his coaches will be following him as well. So a social media post video went out on, at least I saw it on Twitter, where he stood in front of the Colorado football team and gave like a 7-minute sermon, tried to familiarize the team with of who he is and kind of what his expectations are. And some things he said was, "I'm coming to restore, to replace, and re-energize," he said in his speech. "Some of y'all are salvageable, and I'm not going to lie. Everybody that sit their butt in a seat ain't going to have a seat when they get back. But I'm coming, and I started, and I'm going to go dominate, and we're going to work." So in short, he's pretty much telling these Colorado players that they're not guaranteed a spot when the new season starts. I get it. I mean, it's a new face that's coming in, and he wants to make change. He wants to win right away, especially since this is a huge payday in comparison to his last position at Jackson State. And I don't have a problem with what he said because to me, it seems more like a tactic to motivate the guys to not work harder, but just to be more devoted to the program. And the guys that don't get that message, they're just going to transfer, and that just causes less headache for him and his coaching staff. So I think what's going to happen is his talent from Jackson State is going to come over. He's going to attract some more more recruits at the high school level. It's going to be a better season because Colorado was terrible this season, and it's going to get even better the following season. So 2023 is going to be a good start. 2024 is where I think a lot of eyes are going to be on him and that team. Speaking of teams that I like to watch, my Packers, they beat the Bears on Sunday. And what does this mean for both teams? Well, first off, let's kind of just go over a little bit of the metrics. So I'll start with Aaron Rodgers. 1 TD, passed for 181 yards. Christian Watson, the rookie wide receiver in the second round this season, he got 2 TDs tonight. And I think he's in a good contention for Rookie of the Year if he keeps this up for at least one more week. Justin Fields, the quarterback for the Bears, he had a rushing TD. However, he had 2 interceptions in the last half, and that kind of hurt their chances. I could say that one of them definitely wasn't his fault, but still not a good way to end the game. So at the moment, the Packers are considered in the hunt. They're not dead, like Aaron Rodgers has said. And the Bears, they're eliminated from the playoffs. I'm concerned about still being in contention because I don't want false hope, and I want the opportunity to really be prepared for the next season. If they were out of the playoffs, what they would have done, or at least what I think they should do, is get Jordan Love to play for the rest of the season to know if he's that guy or not. If he is that guy, awesome. Then we can start rebuilding around him. If he isn't that guy, shoot. Well, at least have a good draft pick, and we can either, one, get more receiving talent for Rodgers when he becomes fully healed, or B, find another replacement. Right now, we're going to be at a fork of the road, because I talked to this with Sam, a previous guest in the show, that the season's going to end, and they're either A, not going to make the playoffs, or B, make the playoffs and not win the Super Bowl. I just don't see that happening. And then they got to make a split decision. Okay, what do? We got this kid, and we got Aaron Rodgers. Which one are we going to stick with? So I'm not excited for that fork in the road, but who knows? Maybe the season won't be as bad as I think it's going to be. The Bears, they're in a very good position because they found their guy, who's Justin Fields, and they have lots of assets from multiple trades, and they just need another good pick to add to their assets, and they're going to be at a very good spot, I believe, next year, and it's going to be dangerous. I'll admit. I'm a little nervous as a Packers fan. Yeah, I was watching this game with Mike, who was also a previous guest in the show. Me, him, and our girlfriends, we went ice skating on Sunday. I wasn't that good at all, but it was really awesome to have my girlfriend help me out. She's really sweet, and she was really good, patient with me in terms of me trying to not lose my balance. And the good news, I got a little bit better. So we were watching some football together, having some drinks and some lunch. And afterwards, me and my girlfriend, we watched the Cowboys versus the Colts game because my girlfriend, she's a sports fan. Her team's the Cowboys. So I want to talk about her team a little bit. So with this game, it was really ugly for the Colts. Matt Ryan who threw 3 interceptions, and the Colts lost 2 fumbles. The final score was 19-54. Looking at this, so the question I have is, are the Cowboys the best defense in the league? The 33 points that they scored in the fourth quarter is the second amount of most points ever scored on any team in NFL history. It's tied for second. That's pretty impressive for offensively and defensively. The Cowboys lead the league in sacks with 48, and 12 of them come from one of my favorite Cowboys players at the moment, Micah Parsons. That dude is unstoppable. I knew he was going to be a good pick out of Penn State, and he is definitely showing, and I think he has a very good case to be Defensive Player of the Year. And the Cowboys have forced 3 fumble TDs as well. That leads the league in on top of the sacks. And they're top 10 in total interceptions, thanks to Trevor Diggs just being Trayvon Diggs, who is definitely showing up as usual. And the Cowboys are just top 5 in offensive scoring. Right now, they have 44 total TDs. And thanks to Cooper Rush, he kept the Cowboys alive while Dak was injured, and Dak picked up right where he left off. Right now, he has 13 TDs and 1,500 yards. And I can't dismiss the running back duo, Tony Pollard and Zeke. They combined for 3 TDs and 160 yards on Sunday. They're both in top 20 in rushing yards, top 11 in rushing TDs. And it's a very similar dynamic to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon from the Packers, where Aaron Jones, in this case Tony Pollard, very dynamic, good in his feet. A.J. Dillon, force of nature, can't stop him. That's Zeke. And Zeke is very good in short situations, just like A.J. is. They're going to make the playoffs, and I can see them facing off the Eagles again. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to go too far. I will say the Cowboys will probably lose in the divisional round. That's just how I feel. If not, I think they can make. If not, maybe they can make the NFC Championship. I just don't see them going to the Super Bowl is what I'm getting at. So the question I have is Jeff Saturday, the coach for the Colts, is he going to be coaching the NFL after this season? I don't know. I don't think so, but you never know. I'll finish off the episode with one more segment. This is related to track and field. Michael Williams challenged Tyreek Hill to a race on Twitter. I'll open up the tweet right now and show you what he said. So Michael Williams, he is an Oregon sprinter. He tweeted at Tyreek Hill saying, "Hey, at Cheetah." That's Tyreek's Twitter handle. "I heard you got some speed," with the winky emoji. "You want to race after your season? I saw you ran a 9.98, but you had a small hurricane at your back," with wind emojis. And said, "What's good?" For those who don't know who Michael Williams is, he's a sprinter from Oregon. He ran a 9.83. He's a world under 20 champion, and he's an NCAA indoor national champion. He has some credentials, being a young sprinter in college. And Tyreek has some track experience too. He ran track when he was in community college, when he was in Oklahoma State. This is kind of a little different with the situation with DK Metcalf was getting into the track realm for a race, just because Tyreek has more awareness of what to expect since he has competed at the collegiate level. I don't think DK did. And Tyreek definitely is a winner too. Just like Williams, Tyreek ran a 9.98, and he's a world under 20 championship champion as well. Do I think they're going to do it? No. I just don't think Tyreek Hill is going to honestly kind of follow through with this because, no offense to Michael Williams, but he's not kind of in the tier that Tyreek is in terms of kind of like sports recognition or sports status. Like Michael Williams, he's a fast runner, but Tyreek Hill is a superstar in terms of the NFL world and sports world. I just don't think he would stood that low to kind of, help this kid gain some clout, racing against an NFL star who obviously doesn't have track. Who's obviously not in track shape at the moment. But I give props to the kid for showing a little finesse and kind of confidence. Like, hey, I can take on this dude. So I'll give him some props for that. Hill has challenged people before. He has challenged DK and he has challenged Usain Bolt. And the two even made a bet that, like, if Hill were to win, he would get Usain Bolt's Olympic gold medal. And if Usain Bolt would have won, he would get Tyreek Hill's Super Bowl ring. Oh, that'd be cool. I'd like to see that. I think that's that's a cool thing to watch. That'll definitely build some attention because those guys are both big names. So this wraps up today's show. Thanks again for listening, guys. I kind of like these short, sweet episodes. It's just easier to kind of go through. I don't want to stop and take breaks either. And, it's more casual and relaxed. So thanks again for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy some more sports, and we'll definitely be on another episode pretty soon. So remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Every little bit helps. I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.